Hey Matthew Place, thanks for checking back. For this blog this week, I was going to continue on the trans health category, and I'm going to talk about surgeries. Now, I've only had top surgery, but I thought some of you might be interested in learning about the other surgeries as well. So, with the top surgery, I did my surgery down in Florida with Dr. Guerra Moni. I chose him because I knew a lot of guys who had gone down to him. Most of the YouTube videos that I watched, a lot of the guys went down to Dr. Guerra Moni. Another reason I went down there was just because just looking at the website and looking at a lot of the different like trans websites like Trans Bucket or just even on Tumblr, a lot of people were just really favoring Guerra Moni. So I'm like, well, if a huge part of the trans population trusts Guerra Moni and thinks he's the best, then I'm gonna go with that because I really didn't know much. So what I did is I just like I asked around and then I just went onto his website, looked at the information that was on his website, and then I just called his office to get like more details information. And everyone in his office is super nice. And Dr. Garamoni is a really chill guy. And they're willing to help you with anything, even if you just have questions. They'll take the time to answer your questions. There's no pressure to go through them. There's no pressure for anything. So that was really helpful in the beginning. And they made sure that you understood everything. Now there's two different kinds of top surgery. There's two different kinds of top surgery. There's the double incision, which I got, and then there's the keyhole. And the double incision is kind of probably the most popular because it's generally A, more effective, and B, it's used on more guys like who had like bigger chests to begin with. So like for me, I had like big C's, small D's, so that was my only option. The keyhole is just kind of what it sounds like is they cut around and then like take everything out just from that small hole. But doing it that way, there's there's a greater chance of them forming like not being able to get all of the pockets out. So you might get random spots come back again. And there's also no way to determine where like the nipples are gonna line up. Whereas with the double incision, like he can place the nipples wherever. And the only downside with the double incision then is you do have the double scars right here. Um, so I knew going into it that I was gonna have to get the double, um, but I mean that's fine with me. So and then another thing that I got done with my surgery is I got what he calls man sculpture, which is liposuction of certain areas, like uh, that front pouch under your belly button, that in your abs, got that taken out. My love handles. Um, I think he does like hips and thighs too, but I really wasn't too sure, and I also didn't want to ask too much because I didn't want the price to go over too much. I mean, you're gonna pay more for the man sculpture, but I didn't I would feel too bad and I didn't want to make the price any higher. Um, I mean, I really wouldn't mind getting my like hips done, but that's more a couple $1,000s I don't have. Um, but so I got that done, and when I got it done, it actually you could tell the difference. Now you can't really just because I've put on so much weight from the testosterone and just from eating too much and not working out. But yeah, so that's what I got done. Um, Honestly, people ask me a lot, oh, how was it really painful? And honestly, the chest part wasn't all that painful. For me, what was more painful was the liposuction. Um, because I mean, if you have a weak stomach, do not YouTube this. But if you're interested, Like you can just YouTube like lipo and you can see what they do to you and you'll understand why you're in so much pain. Um, but honestly, that was more painful than my chest was. The chest was just uncomfortable. Um, I mean, yeah, the first day it's gonna hurt because I mean you just had major surgery. Of course, it's gonna hurt. But the remainder of the days of like the week that I was there, it was just uncomfortable because like you couldn't move and you were just strapped down for your life, like, and it was just pressure and just constant compression pressure hurt your back. But I mean the surgery, it was just more uncomfortable. um there's a weird sensation that happens like in your scars and like nipple area is like it kind of feels like you get kind of it almost feels like a small jolt of electricity. um and that's like the nerves like waking up again. um that was really I think that happened on, I want to say day 3 or day 4. Me and my buddy were just like we're sitting there, and um Leland at New Beginnings was telling us that it's gonna happen, that'll happen soon, and then a couple hours later, sure enough, like both of us just like jolted, and we're just like, oh, that's an interesting feeling. Um, but yeah. Um, see, I mean, I'm pretty happy with it. My body kind of heals weird, so it doesn't look necessarily the way that I like envisioned it. And that's just because that's how my body heals, and you can't really control that. Um, I mean, I was just a little, yeah, like, yeah, basically, my body just heals differently, and so I mean, there's not much you can do. And it is what it is. Dr. G said that like in a couple of years, like if I have the time and whatnot to go back, I can like go back and can try like fixing it, but because that's just how I healed, it's a chance that it's just going to heal that way again. There are other surgeries that I'm not going to talk too much about just because I haven't had them and don't really want them, and also I just don't know that much about them. But there's different kinds of bottom surgeries that you can get. Um, phalloplasty and metoidioplasty, I believe they're called, and there might be one more. I don't know. I know there's definitely two, and both of those do different. Are they're two different procedures, um, and not. I mean, not a lot of surgeons do them because they're still pretty experimental. But I know that if that's something you're interested in, um, like even if you just Google like F to M bottom surgery, the top like the doctors and the procedures will pop up like one through. I mean, they'll pop up in on the first hit. Um, so that's something you can easily Google. So don't think it's impossible to find. Another surgery that a lot of trans guys do is that's kind of a semi bottom surgery is the hysterectomy, um, which I definitely want to get done, and I'm probably going to need because I'm starting to feel kind of pain. Um, but as the, with any transition, like before you have, um, well, for trans guys, like before you have your hysterectomy, obviously you still have your uterus and ovaries that produce the estrogen, and so when you're injecting yourself or taking the pill, whatever method that you do, to take your testosterone, your estrogen, your uh, female organs are going to be like pumping extra estrogen, trying to battle the testosterone, which A is very uncomfortable. B causes some of the weight gain. Um, just causes a lot of pain to your female organs. So a lot of guys to complete their transition, like for me, getting a hysterectomy will be my complete transition because I don't want any of the bottom surgery. Um, so I just want to get the histo, and then that way my body will not be producing the same amount of estrogen anymore. and so my body will not be in a constant battle with themselves. So that's kind of my next step. It's still like I wish I could do it tomorrow, but I mean, the fact of the matter is insurance won't cover it because it's elective surgery. So unless something happens to them, I can't get insurance won't cover it. So that's thousands and thousands more dollars that I'm gonna have to come up with. So that's way down the line because I mean I got to finish up school and hopefully getting into law school next year. Um, so that takes priority right now, my school. But I mean we'll see, and hopefully in the near future I can get it done. So that's kind of like my brief overview of surgeries. If there's any like more details that you want a specific surgery, feel free to tweet me or feel free to email me. Um, and either I can do another video if there's a lot of interest, or I can just reply to your email. It's not a problem. Um, so yeah, hope this was helpful, and be sure to check back in a couple of weeks for my next video. And remember, stay true to who you are, and the sky's the limit.